Question time. PFT PM Posse. If the Cardinals are on track for the number one overall pick when Kyler Murray is ready to come back, do you see them keeping him sidelined to avoid losing it? This is kind of the soft tank. This is the, hey, things are going well here because we stink without Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray's ready to play, and maybe Kyler Murray comes back and we start winning games, and then we don't have the number one pick anymore. So they could come up with a way to say, he's not ready, he's not ready, he's not ready. We don't want to put him at risk of further injury and a lost season. We're going to continue to allow him to recover from this torn ACL. There's an easy way to do that without admitting that you're just deliberately trying to grab the first overall pick. But again, this assumes that Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback, would want to play for them. But even if he doesn't, they'll get a nice return if they trade out of that top spot and end up keeping Kyler Murray. PFT PM Posse, serious question. Ooh, serious question. You've been an NFL influencer for a long time. Where would you rank yourself and or PFT as a whole on the list of most influential people in the NFL atmosphere? That's not for me to decide. We just do what we do. And if we have influence, so be it. If we don't, we don't. But I do know this. A very high percentage of people with influence in the NFL read everything that we write, including a large number of owners, large number of coaches, all of the agents, all of the media covering the NFL, and more players all the time. So to the extent that they're all parked here at PFT, reading the same words, seeing the same opinions expressed, if that has influence, so be it. Another one from PFT PM Posse. I'm giving him a third one because this one helps me with my side hustle of trying to get you to purchase Father of Mine. And I sent, at my son's suggestion, because Bobby, who runs the PFT PM Posse account, had entered the weekly giveaway contest. And I mentioned to my son at some point that, yeah, he enters every week. And my son said, you should just send the guy one. He's a nice guy. And I guess my son's interacted with him in the past. He said, just send him one. Just send him one. So I sent him one. So he says, I started reading Father of Mine yesterday. I love the book so far, especially the short chapters, because I always look for how long a chapter is before reading to see if I have the time, and I read more. I even ordered my dad a copy as he was interested in PFT, has helped our relationship. Well, thank you very much, Bobby. And look, I tried to write a book that I would want to read. I think that's the ultimate test of whether or not something's going to work. That's how PFT came to be. I created the online destination that I would visit. So when it's time for me to write a book, I try to write a book that I would want to read. And I like short chapters. I always look at how long the chapter is going to be. What am I getting myself into here? And most of the chapters are 1,000 words or less. So you can read one and you can put it down. Or you can read two and you can put it down. But you know what you're getting yourself into. The chapters are all short. There are more than 100 of them, but they're all short. It's just like Playmakers. There's more than 110 essays in Playmakers, and they're all 1,000 to 2,000 words. So that's how I like writing. It's how I like reading. Some of the stuff I've written since then, the chapters are a little bit longer, but still, I don't like those chapters that just go on and on and on forever. It drives me crazy. I like something shorter. I think it just fits our mentality these days. We have shorter attention spans. So anything we're going to present to someone else to consume needs to be shorter than it would have been in past years. All right. Macy chiming in. And the pause working very well on her cell phone device. Are you going to start Netflix's quarterback series while at the beach, or wait until you get home so we can watch it together? I'm probably going to wait till I get home because I'm just going to have a hard time making the time to watch that. My routine here is when I wake up, I try to get 3 stories posted before it's time to get ready for PFT PM. Do PFT PM, grab something quick for lunch, and then go do something, whether it's ride a bike, hit the beach, do whatever. And I try to take a few hours in the afternoon to actually enjoy the vacation, swing back around, post a few more stories before dinner. And by the time dinner time rolls around, and more importantly, by the time the beverages are flowing, that's it for me until the next morning. If I wake up the next morning, I have 2 more next mornings to wake up for before it's time to check out and go home. Tyler Hergert, is the NFL keeping a close eye on the Live Golf PGA Tour news in case the Public Investment Fund wants to be in business with them? And would there be as much outrage over the Public Investment Fund being involved with the NFL as there has been with golf? Look, I can imagine that anyone involved in any sport in America is paying attention to what happens with this scrutiny of the Saudi Arabian investment in golf. I saw something yesterday that at one point Roger Goodell was supposed to speak out in favor of the merger, and then he ultimately didn't. As I've said, it all comes down to whether or not Saudi Arabia wants to make a play for an NFL team. And if the NFL slams the door in their face, if the NFL won't change the rules to allow Saudi Arabia to buy all or part of a team, that's when they have to worry about a competitor to the National Football League. And as I said yesterday, that element of me that just loves a little chaos, we get a lot of chaos out of that. If there's an in-season competitor with the NFL funded by an unlimited pool of money that can go out and target NFL players, incoming players, free agents who are not under contract and can be pilfered, that could be an interesting ride if and when it ever happens. Hunter Wallace, if Brock Purdy is healthy week 1, assuming he got some reps at training camp, does he start immediately? Did he prove enough last year? I think he's the starter if he's healthy. I think Kyle Shanahan's basically said that. The real question is he healthy? And if he's not, I think it's going to be Sam Darnold. I think Trey Lance, they're not going to trade him. They're keeping him around because last year they had to use QB3. They're going to keep Lance around. He's relatively cheap as backup quarterbacks go because he's under his rookie contract still. I think they're going to keep him, but I think he's going to be the third man up, and it's going to be Sam Darnold if Brock Purdy isn't able to go. Here's a question. Is there any chance moving forward that Deshaun Watson could ever win Comeback Player of the Year or MVP in the eyes of the voters? I think that it's possible, but you have that human element. We talked about that recently with Hall of Fame voting. It's human beings who make these decisions. So, look, MVP is undeniable. I think he's got a better chance to win MVP than Comeback Player of the Year because his comeback year is this year. And Damar Hamlin, all he has to do is suit up for one game, and he's the Comeback Player of the Year, unanimously. Now, if Watson struggles this year and then next year has a great season, maybe. See, it's got to be Deshaun Watson coming back from something other than what he's currently coming back from. So let's say he's horrible this year, and then next year he's great. He's coming back from a horrible 2023. It's an easier sell to make. But if he comes out this year and plays really well, what's he coming back from? He's coming back from a self-inflicted absence due to allegedly aberrant behavior off the field. It's hard to reward him for that. And again, Damar Hamlin's already got it locked up, so it's not going to be an issue. So could Watson win it at some point down the road? Yes, once he gets far enough removed from the perception that he's coming back from the off-field situation that he created for himself. MVP is undeniable. If he's the best player, he's the best player. If he's got the best numbers, he's got the best numbers. If the Browns are the number 1 seed in the AFC, I mean, that's how it usually goes. We spend so much time talking about it as the season unfolds, which is fine because it helps us get through the days, fills up the allotted time on the shows. But it's usually the quarterback of one of the number 1 seeds. So if the Browns are the 1 seed in the AFC, he's got a good chance to be the MVP. And it may come down to whether or not he can edge out whoever the quarterback of the number 1 seed in the NFC is. But if it was Jalen Hurts versus Deshaun Watson, and then you look at their numbers, only if Watson would have significantly greater numbers, I think, could Watson do it. But I still think he can. Sam Eichenlaub, interesting question. What is your biggest buyer's remorse purchase? And what is something you purchased that you ended up enjoying more than you thought? I'd have to give that some thought. Biggest buyer's remorse. I don't like buyer's remorse. I don't like regret. If there's something I regret, I just keep going and I don't think about it. So because I don't want to feel like I made a mistake, not because of any warped ego. If I feel like I made a mistake and I spent too much time breaking it down and thinking about it, then maybe I'm hesitant to act in the future. there's an impulse that I know that I trust. It's a visceral sense of this is what I should do. And it usually pushes me in the right direction. And sometimes maybe it gets you knocked off kilter a little bit, but I don't wallow in that because I don't want to undermine what I think is a pretty good internal barometer of the right decisions to make in any setting, whatever context, whatever it is, buying a car, buying a house, doing this, doing that. So that's a long way of saying I really don't know without thinking about it, but I try not to have remorse about anything. So I don't know what I would admit to. Andrew Tuttle, with the one helmet rule now gone and some teams announcing plans to wear throwback uniforms this year, what is one old uniform you would like to see a team bring back that it hasn't so far? I mean, this is easy. I want the Vikings to bring back their 70s era uniforms with that helmet, with that purple, not matte, the glossy purple, the jerseys that in the Metrodome actually kind of looked a little blue. I'd love for them to bring them back, not just for a limited engagement. I want them to ditch the Nike-fied uniform, bring back, get rid of the 3D horn. I don't need the shading to tell me it's a horn. I like the old original horn. Bring back the original horn, bring back the original helmet finish, bring back the original uniforms. If not temporarily, permanently, or if not permanently, I'll settle for temporarily. Dilip Rao, when was the last time a quarterback fell off a cliff like Russell Wilson and actually rebounded to anything like his previous play? I guess it would be Kurt Warner. Remember, Kurt Warner went from being league MVP, two-time Super Bowl participant, to just kind of washing out of St. Louis, went to the Giants, got benched in Eli Manning's rookie year. One of the questions about him getting into the Hall of Fame was dealing with what Peter King referred to as the donut hole in his career, when it tailed off with the Rams, his time with the Giants. Then he had this resurgence with the Cardinals that got him over the top and got him into the Hall of Fame. So, Russell Wilson needs to be concerned that this trend from last year doesn't continue indefinitely because it could undermine his case for the Hall of Fame. We'll see if he can turn it around. If he can't this year, though, there's a good chance. We've talked about this before with his contract, and there's $35-40 million that becomes fully guaranteed in March of next year. If it's another stinker for Russell Wilson, number one, it's not going to be Sean Payton's fault. And number two, I don't think Russell Wilson will be the quarterback of the team in 2024. Matt in St. Pete had a question about the Gruden lawsuit and the ESPN report, but we've already addressed that. Henry Livingston, why do you say Mike Vrabel isn't on the hot seat, but you've discussed Sean McDermott being fired if he doesn't finally kick in the door when McDermott has arguably done more with less and the Titans have consistently underachieved in the playoffs? McDermott's got Josh Allen and Mike Vrabel doesn't. That's why the bar's higher for Sean McDermott. Vrabel has done more with less. Vrabel was the number one seed with 91 players on his 53-man roster at some point in the 2021 season. And last year, he had over 80 players on his 53-man roster. At one point, the 2022 Titans were potentially going to break the record of the 2021 Titans for total number of players used in a full season. So, look, I think there was a real disconnect between Mike Vrabel and John Robinson. Robinson ultimately got fired. I mean, Vrabel didn't want to get rid of A.J. Brown. I remember the neck thing and pacing around and wanting to throw somebody through a wall when they traded A.J. Brown on draft day 2022. So I think that Vrabel, look, he's got a winning percentage of 58.5% with a Titans team that does not have an overwhelming cluster of superstar talent. He's a guy who coached the team to the number one seed in 2021. In 2019, they went on the road and knocked off the Ravens, who were the one seed, with league MVP Lamar Jackson. He had 4 straight winning seasons before last year going 7-10. I think Vrabel is underrated, and that's why he came in at number 9 on our list. Okay. Please explain the supplemental draft. What is it and why is it needed? Well, the supplemental draft was created because there are certain circumstances where a player who wasn't eligible to be drafted during the regular April draft becomes available to play in the upcoming season. So if you weren't eligible for whatever reason for the 2023 draft, but you suddenly become eligible to join an NFL team for the 2023 season. You just don't sign with someone as a free agent. They go through the supplemental draft process. And it's a very simple analysis. If you use a pick, let's say you use first round pick in the supplemental draft in a given year, 2023, you basically traded in your 2024 first round pick. You're getting to use next year's pick prematurely. And it doesn't work like the draft where someone's on the clock. What it does is it's round by round. They'll do round one, who submits a pick for any of the players. And anybody that wants to use a pick in that round on one of the players locks in, and whoever sits highest on the priority list gets the player. So it's kind of a weird process, and they didn't do it at all for a few years. They did it this year. There were two guys in the pool. Neither of them got drafted. There have been some great players that have trickled through the supplemental draft in the past, but the process now, because guys can enter after 3 years removed from graduating high school, and we see more and more guys getting early playing time, they're ready to go, they're entering the draft in the normal course. We just don't see as many trying to have to find creative ways to work their way into the draft. But it's there because if guys who weren't available to be drafted in April become available and eligible to join the NFL after that, for whatever reason, you can't just let them go sign with whoever. Although, as you know, that would be my preference generally. Sergeant Stadenko is rooting for the GIF that we used today to be a home video of me, the little kid getting wiped out by the wave as he was trying to position a chair in the beach. That is not a home video of me. All right. I should probably wrap this up. Hey, Trumpton Riot, why has Sky Sports stopped showing you? Dude, we're on hiatus. PFT Live is on hiatus. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I've done it every day except one since the hiatus started. PFT PM is back during our annual hiatus. We'll be back on Sky Sports July 24. And eventually we'll be live at least on Fridays. There was a point, was it last season? They told us at one point we were going to be live every day. They were going to take our show live and not show Good Morning Football live. And I think somebody at 345 Park Avenue probably did not take kindly to that. And the next thing you know, we were back to being tape delayed, except on Fridays. For whatever reason, we were live on Fridays. And maybe we'll be live on Fridays again. Somebody's asking, I can't tell whether this is tongue-in-cheek or not, are the Jets able to invoke the 5th or possibly the 14th Amendment and sue the league to not be on Hard Knocks? No, they've signed up for it. Now, hey, we should want this. We should want a team that doesn't want to be the focal point of Hard Knocks to be the focal point of Hard Knocks. That's reality. We're going to get some reality from the New York Jets. And who knows, maybe they'll just insist on taking out everything. Like, it's only going to be the most basic crap. Anything remotely interesting is just going to be on the cutting room floor so nobody watches the New York Jets on Hard Knocks.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.